This is our old Air Force surplus wagon, and the fuel tank Dad got from, I think he said Ori Neal, so he doesn't ever want to sell it. Whatever. Anyway, I got it unloaded today, and that reminded me of how the thing got loaded up in the first place. Back in fall of 2010, I loaded it up in there, and that's light enough. You can actually put it in by yourself if you lift up one end and slide it. So I could go to a friend's house and buy 200 gallons of leftover fuel oil. Now, I was a little bit nervous about that. It's not because this was Saturday of Fire Prevention Week 2010 and Monday of Fire Prevention Week 2010. I was driving a different vehicle down the road, a 1990 F-250 Custom, hauling the beans home from Hector. Now, I was about a mile north there. Can't quite see where I was from here, but you can see this place from there. When the truck started, the truck engine died. The exhaust had been a little loud for a while, but the engine died. And a little puff of smoke came out, and that seemed kind of bad, and so I stopped and I got out. Now this is the bed of the pickup truck. That's why I've brought us here. So I see a puff of smoke come out of the hood, come out of the dash vents. So I get out and I pop the hood and I take a look, and I see a little flame under there, and I'm about to open the hood. And I remember hearing that opening the hood of a burning vehicle can add oxygen to the fire and cause a flame out and make a bad situation worse. And I decided that was pretty good advice, so I'd left the hood closed and walked briskly to the nearest house, riding hours. And I was about 100 feet away from the truck when I heard two explosions. And I turned around and I saw the front tires had exploded, and there were flames coming out of the windshield. Sped up just a little bit more then. Now, you may have noticed that the shed doors opened south when I came in here, and I was north. So Dad was ahead of me with the combine, and he had pulled into the shed, and he didn't know why I wasn't coming home. He didn't know that his truck, his beautiful 1990 F-250 Custom, which had just been dropped from comprehensive to liability insurance, was a pillar of fire and smoke suitable for leading the Israelites across the desert. That's not good. So anyway, we called 911, which was, I think, the first time I'd called 911, not the last, unfortunately. And this is Putnam County, Ohio. Our roads are laid out in a grid system. If you want to avoid something, you go a road over. I think everyone in the county made a special trip to drive down that road and go past that truck with the flames shooting out the passenger side windows by this point, and the front windshield and everything else, which that seems good and safe. I had cousins from town come out before Dad found out there was a problem. I had to send, I think, Kurt Bibler out to find him, to tell him that, yeah, you got issues out here and you need to come out. So anyway, the fire department came out, and it took them all of 2 seconds to put it out. Did you know alternators melt? I mean, the alternator was laying in a puddle on the ground under it, and there was a little charred spot on Road 19, which they have since fixed, but it took them a few years. And anyway, so we had the thing hauled home, and we gave the transaxle to the rear axle to somebody who helped us get the bed off. And then I gave the bed a quick sandblasting and painted the inside yellow and painted the outside green. This was a John Deere service truck after Amtrak owned it. Got it from my cousin David, and he had sent the decals along with it, which he'd never got installed, but we did eventually. And then in 2012, St. Patrick's Day, I built that shelf and put my little Case tractor up there. It's wired up, and that's a good place for it. But I just remember that the time I made a Ford Flambe on Monday of Fire Prevention Week. I remember one of my co-workers was a volunteer fireman, and he brought me in one of those little plastic fire chief helmets they give the kids because, well, it seemed like I needed that at that point. There was a aerosol can of PB catalyst in the cab, and it half melted the nozzle and charred some of the paint, but it still sprayed. I lost a Carhartt coat, and of course all the keys for all the toolboxes here burn up. Fortunately, they weren't locked. Just a little memory of fuel oil and diesel fuel and Ford Flambes. It's always something. But at least we kept the bed.